Put your makeup on, get your nails done, curl your hair, run the extra mile, keep it slim so they like you. Do they like you?
Hello everyone, welcome to the Saturday morning show. My name is Bola and I am your host. In today's episode we're going to be talking about miscarriage. Yes, miscarriage. And I have an amazing guest in the studio with me today, and this is a topic that I think we really should talk about. But as usual, before I get into that part of the episode, I'm going to hit you up with the gist. Today's gist is a little more somber than our usual gist, the way we usually do it. Today's gist comes from my personal emotional connection, I guess, to the topic that we're talking about today. How it started is, I have a coworker who's been trying to get pregnant for a very long time. She's been married for a while and she finally got pregnant. She didn't tell anyone that she was pregnant. She was trying to keep it a secret, but then her husband came and he was so excited and he told everyone. This was in the first maybe 2-3 weeks of them finding out that they were pregnant. And she wasn't carrying, she wasn't lifting anything heavy. She was always at her desk. She wanted to manage this pregnancy very carefully because she's been trying for a very long time. And I wouldn't forget the day that she came into the office. We were all sitting in the office and she came in and very composed she said, I need to go to the hospital right now. You guys, I'm going to take the rest of the day off. And as she was trying to pack her things, she just burst into tears. So I get off my table and I go up to her thinking, what's going on? Why are you crying? It's so weird to just start crying at 10 a.m. And she says, I went to the bathroom to pee and I saw blood. And I'm scared. I think I'm losing my baby. What am I going to do? I've been waiting. And she just buzzed and she could barely talk. And so I told her, you know what, calm down. Just calm down. And I'll follow you to the hospital. We'll go together, because things like this, especially she's been trying for a really long time, and I didn't want her driving and going by herself. So the whole time I was like, you know, I'll come with you, I'll be there with you every step of the way. We get to the hospital and she's trying, you know, and the nurses try to ask you, so why are you here today? And she's trying to explain, and she bursts into tears all over again. And now, guys, I've heard about people miscarry. You see it in movies and things. It's nothing but something that happened to that person or the other person, but it doesn't compare to sitting in a hospital room right next to someone trying to explain to the nurse that she's losing her child. And it wasn't me, but sitting there, I can never say I know how she felt. No, I can never say that. But sitting in that situation, I thought, we need to talk about this. So we're in the hospital, they're doing all these tests and things, and I don't know what to do. At best, I'm trying to be a good friend, a good co-worker, and I'm trying to be optimistic. But even I have to be careful how optimistic I am, how much, even spirituality I put in. You know, God loves you, He cares. You have to temper this thing with wisdom, because what if the doctor comes out and says, yes, you lost your baby? Does that now mean that God doesn't care? And so I had to temper myself and pick my words very carefully. So I called my friend and I said, listen, she's married, she's a really, really good friend of mine, very wise. And I called her and I said, I'm in this situation with my coworker, I'm in the hospital. What can I say? What can I do? She talked me through it. She was like, could she talk to my coworker? She couldn't at the time. And you know, we talked to the right brief. And we went to the hospital, we were good. We were in the hospital for hours. And my friend kept calling. And one time she called me, so I had to step out. And she said, you know, Bola, I have been through the same thing. As a matter of fact, I have miscarried twice. And with my first child, I was spotting every month until I had the baby. Every month I thought I was going to lose my baby. Every month I went to the hospital, I had blood. And I prayed, I talked to God, and I believed. And somehow it just happened to be some irregularities with just her, but she had her baby. But no one, I never knew that about her. She's been my friend forever. And it was just something, what brings about the conversation? Hey, would you like some rice? By the way, I miscarried yesterday. It's not something that people just casually bring up, but we should talk about it because it happens. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to have a very good friend of mine, and we're going to be talking about this topic of miscarriage very carefully, because I believe it happens much more than we realize, and much more than we talk about. So we're going to be talking about it on the Saturday morning show. We'll be right back after this break. Hello everyone, we're back from our break, and like I said, I'm here with my very good friend. Her name is Deola. Hi Deola.
Hello.
Please tell them what you do.
So my name is Deola. I'm a registered nurse and I work in obstetrics, mostly labor and delivery, but the obstetrical field. So I kind of have a little bit of insight on today's topic.
So Deola, medically, what would we term a miscarriage?
So miscarriages, we also call them spontaneous abortions. So those are any loss of pregnancy technically before 20 weeks of gestation. So anything before 20 weeks, which is kind of the period of time where a baby may be viable outside of the womb, that's termed as a miscarriage.
And what could be the cause of a miscarriage?
Good question. So actually about 60% of miscarriages that happen are spontaneous. They're caused by like chromosome abnormalities that just don't allow this pregnancy to be a good pregnancy to last. Other causes usually come from if someone has multiple miscarriages. If someone has one miscarriage, it's probably a chromosomal abnormality. There's nothing you can do about it. If you have multiple miscarriages, then there might be something else going on. Like maybe there's some health issue. You might have like an autoimmune disease. You might have some type of something health related going on that may contribute to it. So yeah, but there are actually they say about 50% of pregnancies will end up in a miscarriage, but overall 15% of known pregnancies, so that's after you actually know you're pregnant, will end up in a miscarriage, usually within the first 3 months, about 80% of the time. But a lot of times when people have miscarriages, they don't even know they were pregnant. They don't even know they were pregnant. So yeah, it's very interesting. It's just most of the time it's just a spontaneous thing that happens.
And so, while I was getting ready for this topic, one of the things, like what you said, one of the things that I realized is it is quite, and I don't want to use the word normal, but it happens. It happens like you get the flu, it happens. And like, I like the fact that you brought up the fact that some people have even lost babies that they weren't even aware of. And we'll get to when you're aware that you're pregnant and you lose it, but we're careful with our words here, but it happens and it's quite normal. It's not necessarily anything you can do, because one of the questions that I had listed was, is it preventable? Is there anything that you can do with the food you're eating, the level of work, stress, lifestyle? Is there anything that someone who finds out they're pregnant can do to hold on to this so they don't lose it?
Absolutely. I mean, if it's a chromosomal abnormality, there's nothing you can do about that. It's like you just pull the short string, and unfortunately that's what happens. You can't prevent those types of things. It's out of our control. But there are things you can do if you find out you're pregnant to try to have the most healthy pregnancy possible. I was actually reading a study and it said there's no medical link to stress and miscarriages. I don't know how much I believe that, but yeah, there's a lot of different studies out there. In terms of trying to have a healthy pregnancy, you want to make sure that your weight is under control. If you have anything like diabetes, which you can also get in pregnancy, it's controlled. Definitely follow up with doctors if you have health issues and health concerns. Taking prenatal vitamins with folic acid, and just being healthy, exercising, not smoking. I know a lot of people, if you're a smoker, it's hard to quit, but huge risk. Even if you do have a sustainable pregnancy, there's huge risks throughout the pregnancy with development of children with smoking. And yeah, so just living like a healthy lifestyle. And yeah.
So I'll use myself as an example. A long time, maybe when I was 15 or 16, I had to go do, my parents in health practitioners, so they made me go do a checkup, which I didn't see the point because I felt healthy. And while I was sitting in the doctor's office, this doctor was taking notes, and she randomly said, "Oh, do you know you have this rare blood type?" And she said very, very, I don't know, casually, like, it's just rare. And she's like, when you get pregnant, make sure, don't get so excited with the fact that you just had a baby. Make sure it's an injection you're supposed to take as soon as you have. I don't know if like that's changed because, but medicine keeps evolving and keeps getting better. But this is a while ago, and she said, make sure you get this injection. And I was thinking, what's the big deal? And she was like, oh, by the way, again, she's taking those very casual. She's like, because if you don't take this injection, any pregnancy you have after that, your body is going to assume that it is some cancer or it is bacteria. It's just going to kill it. So your body will just kill any baby that you try to carry, because it's just going to look at that and think, oh, this is poison, we need to get rid of it, because it's foreign. And so I got to know that. And when I got to know that, like, every day of my life I've been thinking, at some point in my life I want to have children. At some point in my life I want to have healthy children too. So research again and thinking, what do I eat, what do I do now, so that in my future, and what do I need to know about myself, so that in my future when I do get pregnant, or when I want to get pregnant, I'm prepared. And that preparation starts, I guess, now, not when I'm married and then I want to have a baby now, then I start thinking of all the things I could do. We should start thinking about it. If you're not married, if you're still single, or if you are married and you're not ready to have children now, start thinking about it and go see a doctor. We'll be right back after this break. We have some more questions we need to ask, some more things we want to talk about. This is the Saturday morning show, and you're here with Bola and Deola. Welcome back, guys. We're still talking about miscarriage. My name is Bola and Deola's with me. Now on the break we were talking about warning signs. Like I said, my co-worker had seen some blood, which is cookie, and people call it spotting, I think. And so that was her warning sign that something was amiss. What other warning signs should people look out for?
In terms of the bleeding, doesn't necessarily mean it's a miscarriage, but it could be, and there's a way to look at it too. So bleeding with miscarriage usually starts light and eventually gets heavy. So you might see a little bit of spotting, eventually it starts getting heavy. The color might be different. It might not be a bright red. It might be a brownish color. You might see some tissues in there. You might see different things that just don't look normal. Feeling cramping, a lot of abdominal pain. Those are all kinds of signs. You might have a fever, maybe your body's rejecting this pregnancy. You might have some type of fever, it might be some type of infection going on. If you're pregnant and you see any of these signs, go to the hospital immediately. Like, no matter what, get it checked out.
And that makes a lot of sense, because you do care about this pregnancy. You care, you want to see it full time. You you care. And hopefully you're also doing this with someone and you're excited. So when in doubt, please just ask. Don't just sit at home and just watch it happen. That's why we have doctors, that's why we have nurses, so that they can help out. Do you have any not personal experience, but like I said earlier on, I had a friend who miscarried twice, and once this thing came up, and I was my coworker, I called this friend, she miscarried, I called that person, and within my own circle of married people that had or have children now, at least out of 10, maybe 6 or 7 miscarried at least one or two, and that number really not scared me, but I was thinking, this is more common than even I realized, because if at least 7 people that I know, that I can count by name around me, have miscarried, and we're not using the word normal, but it happens. And so, do you have any experiences where you know someone who maybe even had more than 1 or 2 miscarriages?
Yeah, so I in my area of work, I see it all the time. I usually deal with later in the pregnancy where it's stillbirth and things like that, but I have interacted with a lot of people that have gone through this. I'm a nurse, so I work with mostly all women.
Yeah.
So, and it's quite, I wouldn't say common, but it's strange how common it is among women when you're around. Just to hear stories. I met a lady a few days ago, actually, I think last week, that we were talking. She had one child, and she had told me that she had 3 pregnancies before that, total of 5 babies, because 2 of the pregnancies were twin pregnancies, and unfortunately she lost all of those pregnancies early on. I don't know the details about the situation, but yeah, so it's something that does happen. People don't talk about it a lot. I think it's important to talk about it because a lot of people experience it and don't necessarily say anything.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break right now. This topic is tense, it's deep, and we really want to talk about it because only God knows how many other people who are watching this right now know somebody who actually have been through something like this. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Saturday Morning Show. My name is Beingbola and I'm here with Deola. Today we're talking about miscarriage, and we left off talking about like the thing again. Why don't we talk about this? And I know, I would say Nigerian culture, but being Nigerian, I know everyone that I've known that was pregnant. For some people, I didn't even know they were pregnant until maybe they gave birth. Some people that I know, I didn't know they were pregnant until they were really showing, like 6 months. And I know most of the reasons why we don't tell people is because they say evil eye, so that someone will not look at your baby and then your baby will die because of the look. But every time I hear all this, like, I can't say spiritual or fetish or traditional things, I always think it must have started from somewhere. It must have started from a place of reason, and then some divya voodoo guy just decided to chalk it up to evil eye. But I feel that people in the past did miscarry, and maybe they didn't just have explanations for it medically. They just thought, you know, the second wife has been looking at you funny, that's why you lost your baby. But why do you think we don't talk about it? Do you think there's a shame factor to it?
Possibly. I think it's a sad situation. Some people look at it as, even if you only know you're pregnant for a few weeks, some people look at it as that's their child gone. That's not something that you want to always share openly. I mean, some people like to share those things just to get their story out there, but majority of people, when you're dealing with a loss, especially the loss of a child, that's not something that I think people like to talk about.
Yeah.
Essentially.
It's not a dinner, it's not a conversation topic.
It's not a light, fluffy.
Like, hello, my name is. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons why.
Yep. And now, when you introduce yourself, you work with a lot of pregnant people. You work with expectant mothers and mothers, I guess, in the first couple of days. And this episode we can't end it without talking about the other half of pregnancy, which we started with miscarriage, so in the very early stages if you lose it. But what about people who carry it till the end? Have you ever had, I mean, in the hospital, I'm sure you've come across 1 or 2 people that come into to give birth, and how does that work? I don't want to ask you what does that feel like, because sometimes I would assume that you probably have to be the one to tell them, but how does that even work for couples, for the mother, for you even?
It's always a sad situation. People come in my unit, labor and delivery, it's the happiest place in the hospital. You don't go there sick, you go there to have a baby and go home happy with a new baby. So to come in and to hear that you've lost your child, there's no more heartbeat, is very sad. Every single time it happens, and it doesn't happen frequently, but when it does happen, you can feel the sense of grief in everyone, not just in the families, but in all of the staff working there. it's very sad, the fact that, you know, you've lost this child and now you have to deliver this child. You can't just go home. You have to deliver a baby.
Wow.
Normally, knowing that this baby is not living, and it's very, very sad. It's hard to see. You realize people grieve very differently, and yeah, it's not a very happy thing.
I can imagine. I don't even know if I should apologize to our viewers to say, you know, I'm sorry about how sober this episode is. But guys, it is very, very true. This thing is happening today in the hospital. Who knows, in China, in Egypt, in Nigeria, here in Calgary, there are women who are miscarrying as we're sitting down here and we're talking to you, have miscarried this week and are going through this thing, and we need to talk about this. So if you're a sister, if you're a mother, if you are a friend, if you're anyone who's experienced this, your story might be different from ours. It might be something, whatever your story is, please, please email us, leave comments in the section below, and share your story. Let us talk about it. Let us do something about it. Even if it means we have to start some sort of support group so that we can be there for one another. I will never forget my coworker, and she's my coworker, guys. I don't owe it to her to have followed her to the hospital. We're not sisters, we're not even best friends. But all the while in the hospital, when we got settled and the doctor said, you know, it's okay, it's just happened. She looked at me and she said, Bola, thank you so much for being here. And it's not, I don't feel like it's me being me, but I don't know what value I put into her life by just even being present. I don't know what value you can put into somebody's life by just being present or by sharing your story. So please, 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 guys, leave a comment and send us an email. It's all in the information box below. And as custom with us, before we leave, we have to ask Deola, what do you do on a Saturday morning?
Well, normally on Saturday mornings, I don't have these deep conversations. Saturday morning, if I'm not working, I'm in bed watching Netflix or Power or something.
Because your schedule must be intense, working those shifts, and babies don't pay attention to schedules, they just show up whenever they want to show up.
Yeah,
So that must be.
They have their own time. But yeah, shift work. I love my job. I love it.
You have to.
It's great.
Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing this time.
Thanks for having me
with us. Until next time, you've been watching the Saturday Morning Show, and I'm your host. My name is Bola. Have a great day. Bye.
Rap Doctor. It's a one mic jam. Jet up which ya over Rocco Faba. Then so I fade in a buyer. So keke neto now witching betching ye. Warana kayo. A jam crown in me only me on a shade. Then so I fade in a buyer. We are keke nebo now witching betching ye.